Yo, what's up, guys? We're going to be breaking down exactly how Above the Par, which is an Amazon offer scaled to $1 million a month. I went in depth. This shit is it's a staircase. Look at this. So if you guys want the full sauce, then stick around. We're going to start off with the very start, actually getting people on the webinar, which is going to be the promotion. And if you take a look at his ads library, he's running essentially 7 creatives. This one, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just a repeat of this other one, so we might be testing something. But it's essentially 7 creatives that have all been running since May slash late June. And it's July right now. It's late July, July 19th. So these have been running for a few weeks up to over a month. So they're clearly working. And when you look at most of these ads, some of them are actually him directly speaking. Some of them are just videos with B-roll and text, or it's B-roll with text overlaid on it. But what they really have in common is you do not have to quit your job. Right, it's targeting people who have a job, they want to make an extra income, and maybe long term, if the opportunity works out, they can transition out. It really does sell them on the actual opportunity. It sells, okay, you don't need a brand, you don't need a warehouse, you don't need a big budget. It sells them on why Amazon is such a great opportunity to get into, as well as it hits on a lot of people who've tried something before. Maybe you've tried e-commerce, you've tried drop shipping, you failed at private label. Well, it pretty much says it wasn't you, it's the model. So come try this model. So it really does a good job selling them on the opportunity, targeting people as well who have actually tried something. And most of these people who have tried something and failed, they want it, right? So they're going to try again. So it's a good audience to hit. And for example, like some of the messaging, they say stuff like you and your family's life, replace your income, not build an empire, 6 to 8 hours a week, sleeping in on the weekend. It's not targeting little kids. It's honestly targeting people 30 plus who are looking to build a significant side income and potentially have freedom from their job long term. So he uses a lot of, it's not like, pictures of Lambos, it's actual stats in terms of Amazon. Amazon does this much $1 billion. This is how, this is how much opportunity there is. And he goes specifically into the numbers. So all of these ads are pretty much pointing people to a live training, which is going to be where they can sign up on this page. And it is very, very bizarre. It's a case of, it's not, okay, you're selling on Amazon and, you want to get to page 1 of Amazon, you want to learn this specific technique, leverage AI in this way. It's more so for people who don't really know much about Amazon. So it's you can see how to generate this amount on Amazon without having to do this, this, and this. It's one of the biggest opportunities. It's selling them on the vehicle as well. It's pretty bare bones landing page, honestly. You can see they have like a little bit of credibility here as well, just like a picture of them and a brief description. So it honestly isn't very in-depth in terms of the landing page. It's clearly working though. What I've seen on a lot of other landing pages is actually below this, just more results, more testimonials, stuff to actually, like image testimonials, stuff to actually get them to trust you, click the webinar. But it seems like the ads are doing a lot of the selling as well as their own personal brand, which has around 86,000 followers. So people are clearly signing up with this landing page. They sign up, they go over to the thank you page. And on the thank you page, there's a video that essentially congratulates them for signing up and has them fill out this intake doc. So it's very brief. It's just their email. Do you sell on Amazon? Do you have money to invest? What are you looking to learn? They're getting a lot of context in terms of the people who are signing up for the webinar. And this does 2 things. They've been running these webinars for a while, so they already know the type of people that are showing up. But it gives you a good gauge of lead quality, as well as it gives your sales team more context as to what type of people are actually signing up, so that when they get dialed, they can have a lot more context there. More buy-in as well in terms of actually showing up to the webinar. And cool, they go through, it shows, okay, like accept the invite. Oh shit, this is actually, dude, this looks like one I made. This is throwing me off. So he has the results here. So cool. He has the results here, and then this is after you already opt in. And then after you fill in the confirmation page, what I've seen a lot of times happen is depending on what you fill out, and this could be something that, could potentially be tested, but based on what they fill out here, if they fill out yes, no, no here, it could either take them to a VIP upsell page or it could take them directly to the registration page. And here, it looks like it all just routes directly to the registration page. The point of the VIP upsell page is you have context, so if they have 5 to 10K, you upsell them on a small VIP thing, $27, and those people are way more likely to convert into long-term buyers. And cool, this is the registration page. It pretty much just tells them, check your email, it's at this time, make sure you actually go through all the stuff that we're sending you, reply to the text, Looking forward to seeing you there, selling them on Showing Up, essentially. So you can see it has all that stuff here. There's a lot of YouTube videos down here in terms of credibility, showing them. It's like just warming them up even more before they show up to the webinar if they actually watch these, as well as it directs them to their school community completely free, which is going to warm them up even further for the webinar. So it's essentially everything there. The confirmation, add to calendar, the qualification form, and the YouTube videos, as well as the community access, which is going to keep people engaged. So now they've gone from seeing the ads, which is speaking directly to a specific person, signing up for the webinar, seeing this page, and now they need to start getting hit with pre-webinar sequences. And I signed up for this webinar, and so I actually signed up a couple weeks ago. It's Sunday. I signed up for the one actually last Sunday, and you can see they texted me right when I signed up. They asked for pretty much some form of commitment, so it's like reply yes, and then you can put in some conditional logic where if they reply yes, send this. If not, then like, did you miss this? It looks like they didn't have that necessarily, but cool. They hit me again the day before. They hit me the day of, hit me a couple times the day of, hit me a little bit. They hit me while they were pitching. And then, it looks like they actually messed up there, but they pretty much run these webinars every Sunday and every Wednesday. So 2 a week. So the people who no-show the Sunday one, they get sent to the Wednesday one. They get the email blast for the one on Wednesday. And then this is Sunday again today, and you can see they're pretty much repeating this. So, yep, you can see they're just running them 2 a week, and they're just hitting me with SMS, a few SMS before every single webinar. Typically, it's going to be question-based. It's going to include the link to actually join. They're doing it on Zoom. Same thing with the emails. They have automated emails that are just reminding me about the event itself. And then they have some that, these actually ended up in my spam, but they have some that are, these are just reminders. They're not even really value dense. So that is something that could potentially be changed. Like, this is what we're going to be covering on the webinar. Just stuff like any sort of value, testimonials, anything along those lines. So that's really what the SMS and email flow looks like. It's not too complicated, but they're just hitting you consistently, making sure that you have the link, making sure that, and just reminding you to ultimately show up to the webinar. So from there, the webinar itself. They do the webinars very interesting. It's a very interesting setup. They're long. They're over 2 hours, right? And they go through, they give a lot of value, but by the end of it, you're sitting there and to go and try to implement something like that by yourself, it would pretty much be impossible. So they start off, they really go in depth. They go in depth for almost 2 hours, and then they go through some FAQ questions. They actually pitch. So, I mean, obviously they pitch, but the way they pitch is they essentially will give you all the value that you're going to get, and they also price drop specifically. So for them, right, they say they have various options, but the one that they're talking about in the webinar is normally $11K. And they essentially say we are going to give a $2K discount, essentially like a fast action discount, because we like working with action takers. So if you book from this call, then you'll get a $2K discount. That's kind of the narrative for how they pitch, like a value stack, a fast action type of discount, as well as answering any FAQs or anything along those lines. And most of the people were booking calls during the Q&A. So after you go through the webinar, after the pitch, you're sitting there on the Q&A, someone sent a type form in the chat, someone on your team, you're just doing a Q&A, answering people's questions, and they're just booking in as you do the Q&A. So the Q&A is really solid. It's going to drive 30 to 40% of people that actually even close and even book calls. So super important that you actually leverage there. In terms of the actual pitch, they have like DM me I'm booked on Instagram once you actually book, a $2,000 off, and you can see the standard is $11K and the actual rate for if they book on the call is $9K. Who knows if that's true? Who knows if it's always $9K? But that's what it looked like. And dude, I was in the chat. They were going crazy in there, bro. There are a bunch of people booking, and they directly price dropped. So it seems like it is working pretty well. You can see someone on their team is essentially sending the type form as well. And yeah, that's essentially the whole process they have for the webinar. And, on the back end of that, they're going to have setters dialing these people. They're going to actually have to make sure the sales process is dialed in. And then you can see even afterwards, they're routing no-shows, people who actually heard the pitch to different areas. But this is everything from seeing the ad all the way up to booking a call on the webinar. So let's take a look at the financial modeling and see what this looks like, how much you need to spend, what type of numbers you would need to hit to actually get to $1 million a month with running webinars. So this is a webinar financial model, and I'm going to base a lot of these numbers on essentially KPIs that you can typically expect for cold traffic. So starting with ad spend, we can estimate if they're doing a mil a month, they're probably spending around 25K on a webinar. And we'll say they're running around 2 per week, so say around 8 total a month. And typically on a cold webinar, I mean, it's going to depend, right? But you can generally expect around a $15 to $20 cost per registrant, which is going to leave them at around 1,400 people who actually registered. And then in terms of an actual show up rate there, 30% of those people are actually going to show up. So out of the 1,400 people who register, 30% of them are going to show up. So 420 people are going to show up to your webinar. And this is going to come down a lot to the presentation, because I was watching the presentation, and you can tell he's done this a lot, right? He knew how to present well. He knew how to actually be influential. He knew how what a lot of it was like identity. It's like, we work with action takers. I talked to a lot of people, months ago. They were telling me, I want to start making money online. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they're still nowhere to be seen. So I like working with action takers. So if you book a call here, we're going to give you $2,000 off. Or you could be like those other people who say, blah, 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 whatever, I'm going to do this, and they don't do it. He was just very influential. It was persuading me to book a call, bro. So he was a good presenter, which obviously comes from a lot of practice as well. But regardless, the amount of shows that retain the offer is going to be based on how good of a presenter you are, how good the presentation is. So let's say the presentation is good. You retain 80% of people to the offer, and that means that by the time the offer hits, there's 336 people who are all being pitched at once. Imagine that. Imagine the difference of having 336 sales calls or pitching 336 people. That is the power of webinars right there. And we'll say the people who actually saw the pitch, who saw the offer, 20% of them actually booked the call. So we have around 67 scheduled calls right there. 60% of those people showed up, so 40 booked calls, and if there's around a 30% close rate, which should be higher especially with webinars, but we'll say, 30% close rate, 12 closed deals, and people might have been paying less because they have options going all the way down to 5K. Let's say the average order value was 9K. That would be $108,000 per webinar. Multiply that by 8, sitting at around 800K on the month. So that's just some general numbers. Obviously, the KPIs could range. The ad spend could be different. The registrant, like your cost per registrant could be different. Close rate, everything like that. But these are just some general KPIs. So that's not quite a mil. So obviously, there's specific things you could change here to adjust that. But even on the back end of that, what's happening now is, since you're getting all these people, showing them your ads, getting them to book for the webinar, actually register, people who are sitting there on the webinar, going to the pitch and still not buying, you can literally just hit them with retargeting ads. So you have a huge pool of people now who have seen you. You can take that audience and just hit them with any sort of content that's going to get them to book in a call. So there's going to be money that's coming off the back end of you running the webinars, with these people not actually even closing from the webinar. So for example, people might close from the webinar, and then you retarget the people who didn't close from the webinar to a call funnel, and people could close from there. And you can see they clearly have a call funnel in the bio as well. Sometimes this doesn't work as well, because instead, if they want to go book a call, they might just join the live free workshop instead. But it seems to be working well for them. They even give people the option to actually book a call on the lander right here. So it literally lets them just book a strategy call. So it seems to be working in terms of their process. And yeah, people who don't necessarily close right on the webinar, they could still get hit with content and end up closing just through a regular call funnel, but the webinar is warming them up. And yeah, that's an additional way that you could add extra money to actually get to a mil a month. So yeah, the call funnel and the webinar are going to work really well in tandem, and there have been multiple offers that have scaled to a mil a month with this combination. So that's how Above the Pars hit $1 million months by incorporating webinars. If you guys have any questions, shoot me a DM on IG, leave them down in the comments below. If you want any help running any webinars, book a call at the link below, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.